This video will be an ultimate guide to Espeon, currently one of the best Pokemon in the game. It's a special attacker, so it's quite squishy. It doesn't have a lot of mobility, but it deals incredible amounts of damage from very far away. It's also currently one of the best laning Pokemon, which means that if you go to top or bot path, you'll be able to dominate those lanes quite easily. It evolves on L4 already from Eevee to Espeon, and at L4 it picks up one of the best moves in the game, which is Psyshock. For the build, we currently play Choice Specs, Vice Glasses, and Spoon. Spoon allows us for even more last hitting, and this Pokemon already does incredible early game damage. It just amplifies it even more and also gives us good late game damage and also good just, damage against fight Pokemon in general. Vice Glasses, Choice Specs for even more burst. And then we run obviously Eject Button. We'll talk about this later, but we are running Eject Button. And then for emblems, your main goal is 7 black emblems, 6 green emblems, and the rest you can kind of just do whatever you kind of want to. Just make sure you have 7 black, 6 green, and then the rest is up to you which ones you use for the other stats. We start the game off as Eevee. We take Swift first because it does more damage than the other move. It's a skill shot that goes into a circle, and we're going to shoot out 3 of those stars, and it deals a good amount of damage. It's going to be your main last hitting tool for early game, and this makes this Eevee actually the best Eevee out of all the ones for early game because it has the most early game damage. As you can see, it also pierces through multiple targets, and then the second one is Growl. Growl will slow opponents on point and click. You just have to click on someone and they're gonna get slowed. This one can't pierce, but again, Swift can pierce. Then we go to level 4, which we already pick up Psyshock. But let's first talk about the boost auto attack. You can see the boost auto attack is charging up. You don't get it more by auto attacking. It's similar to Mr. Mime. It will charge up over time and it's gonna shoot out a laser that slows opponents. This one can also miss, so if your opponent has Eject Button or is just faster, this ability or this auto attack can actually miss. It's not a guaranteed hit. Next up is the passive, which is Magic Bounce. Magic Bounce is able to dodge one of the hindrances and also return damage to our opponents and also slow them. So it's a very strong passive. 35-second cooldown, you can see right here. If you get stunned, it does return damage and the thing also gets slowed for a tiny bit. One of the best passives in the game, similar to Glaceon as well. Those just make sure you don't die as much. And then we have Psyshock. It can be quite difficult to aim this on control. I'm going to give some tips later on how we can aim this a bit better as well, or how I play it. We're going to shoot out 5 of those missiles right here. And all of them do damage, but the more you hit, the more less damage they will do together. And if you hit all 5 onto an opponent, they get stunned, like this. You can see there's a stun icon. Above the substitute, they get stunned. It has a lot of range as well, as you can see. After the latest buffs to it, it has incredible range. And it will be the thing that just makes you sure you just win lane very hard. If you only hit a few missiles like this, it's actually quite difficult to maybe do this. If you only hit a few, they only get slowed, but not stunned. So you have to hit all missiles for them to get stunned. You can see it's quite difficult to actually even do this right now. I guess I can do it like this. So, no, they only get slowed, and they still get hit by everything. There you can see. If they only get hit by a few missiles, they don't get stunned, but they get slowed instead, which is also still quite strong. But yeah, you can see hitting the stun is actually not that difficult, right? So that is Psyshock, and it's going to be insane. It can also pierce, as you can see. It goes through multiple targets. We're not get stuck on the first one. It can go through multiple targets. On level 6, we pick up Psybeam, which is the straight up skill shot into direction. It's going to hit on the first target, and then it splits into cone behind like this, and it's going to hit multiple targets as well. Just bounce the enemy substitute over here very fast to showcase Psybeam better. So again, it's a ray, and it's going to bounce to targets behind the main target in a line. Through the first one, it does max HP damage as well, and then it also does damage to the right one or to the ones behind, depending on who you hit first. So if you hit a tank first, someone that's very high HP, the Psybeam will also do more damage to the people behind them. It does have a cap right here, you can see, of 2000 damage or something. Here it says 2100 or something, but it's capped at 2000. So, it can't be more than 2000 damage still. Plus the baseline damage, so the baseline damage is always there, which is the 1000 you see there as well. There's a 1189. That is the base damage, and then it does just more damage depending on, how much HP the first target has. So you can see the bounce area is actually quite decent. It's up into a 90-degree angle. You can see if I go a bit further here, it's not going to bounce anymore to the right target, but from this area on, it's going to bounce. And there's another thing that Psybeam does as well, which makes it so good with Psyshock. It copies the stun on the first target. So if I stun this target and then Psybeam, the stun gets transferred also to the people behind, or behind the main target. Doesn't matter if they're slowed or stunned, the entire duration of it will be transferred, and they're also gonna be able to do anything about this. Which is just insanely strong. This is why Psyshock Psybeam is currently for sure the better moveset. It also stuns off allies, so one of your allies stuns them as well. If one of your allies slows them, it will also still transfer this over to the enemies behind the first target. Psybeam is the preferred set right now, but Future Sight is also quite fine. Only problem with Future Sight is it has less range than Psyshock, as you can see. So if your opponents are not in it, right, you can't just use it together. What Future Sight does, it locks onto a target right here with damage that will explode, and it makes your Psyshock actually track this person. So it's much easier to actually be able to hit your opponents having Future Sight and Psyshock. If you don't want to aim as much, you can just do this, press both buttons, and there's a higher chance for your Psyshock to just instantly hit. It also has a nice mechanic of where you get a complete reset. So if someone dies while in Future Sight like this, I'm gonna just kill this guy fast like this, you get an additional Psyshock as well from the reset. So if the opponent dies while Future Sight is on them, your second ability gets reset, and it can give you another Psyshock as well. On level 8 we pick up the Unite move, which is honestly quite good and quite bad at the same time sometimes. So we lift up into the air, we stun everything around us, and we then push them away after a certain amount of time. The initial stun is very good, it doesn't really do a lot of damage, but the pushback is kind of weird sometimes because it kind of messes with your skill shots a tiny bit. But it still doesn't matter what, it's a good Unite move for team fighting. You can also combine it with the eject button, so you can do this, an eject button, and everything like that works this way. You can even wait very long to just, if you just want the pushback, or you can just instantly eject button, Unite move, eject button, and try to catch your opponents out of position. And then after, you know, it's gone, you can already try to pre-aim your Psyshock. You know, if the enemy is going to fly away, you can pre-aim your Psyshock, and as soon as you come out of your Unite move, you can maybe start hitting it. That's a good tip as well I have, which I do a lot. So you pre-aim your Psyshock towards the target you want to go for while you're up in the air. Now very fast to the plus versions before I give more tips to the Pokemon. Psyshock Plus actually makes Psyshocks much faster. You can see right here, this is the normal speed. It's actually quite slow. I mean, it's not that slow, right? But you can see it, and now I'm gonna go for the plus one, and you will see a big difference in speed from Psyshock. Makes it obviously much easier to hit. And Psybeam Plus does additional damage when someone is stunned. So right now you can see the damage. There's like a 5 and a 1.4k. But if you stun someone and you hit Psybeam on a stun target, there's 3 damage numbers now, because it deals additional damage, additional max per HP damage to targets that are stunned. And also, if the main target is stunned and you Psybeam onto enemies behind the initial target, they will also take additional damage. Now I want to talk a bit on how I aim Psyshock the best way. So again, I said it's not the easiest skill shot, right? So the way you kind of play this, you try to predict your opponent's movement, right? That's the best way of playing it sometimes. If enemy walks into you, you can always just it's similar to like Future Sight of God of War, where you kind of just aim into the direction they're trying to walk. So you can just flick it a tiny bit, right? If they walk towards you, and then we make it sure that, you know, they get hit. So this is the auto aim, and then we just flick it a tiny bit. Maybe they walk up, we'd flick it a tiny bit as well. Just flicking it a tiny bit can help you be much better at aiming this ability. And I would just recommend trying that. If someone walks towards you, someone walks away. You know, if someone walks away, you just do like this as well. So auto aim is here, and then you flick a bit behind them. And then you try to just aim into the direction they are supposed to walk. Since Psybeam does percentage damage, also great last hitting throw. Of course, I do a bit more damage now because I'm over leveled compared to the spawn right here. But it deals incredible damage to just these objectives as well. So if something gets low, you can easily snipe something away with like a Psyshock Psybeam combo. It happens quite often that Espeon is able to steer Rays, to steer Regis away, which also makes it so strong because it has so much range, right? You can see how far I can stay away from something, and it still gets hit by both of my abilities as well. Like Psybeam, Psyshock have very similar range, and you can see everything gets hit. Even if the Psybeam indicator looks a bit further away, it's actually still going to connect quite easily. You can see right here, the indicator is a bit shorter than it actually is the range on it. And then the last combo is also very straightforward. We abuse our boost auto attack slowing. So if someone is actually much lower, like much closer to you, you can always start with the boost auto attack first, and then we can hit our Psyshock Psybeam also much easier. So if someone is far away, of course, Psyshock Psybeam, you obviously can't hit your boost auto attack this far, right? So you can see it has a maximum range. So if someone's far away, we do this first. If someone is closer, we just do auto attack into Psyshock Psybeam. If you try to chase someone down and they actually know you're in auto attack range, you can start with this first and then hit your abilities much easier. In general, before we jump into gameplay, the best way of playing Espeon is just staying in bushes and making someone walk in. So it says Indeedee is walking towards me, we just aim for it, and we just try to catch people off guard. We can always do Psyshock Psybeam into Unite move and just one-shot targets quite easily like this. And we just jump up and, you know, we do a lot of damage. Like this clip right here, I think is a great example. We try to stay out of vision, we try to make people walk into our moves right here, and then we aim a bit and we hit both into Unite move, and we're able to wipe teams quite easily. Thanks to Espeon actually dealing incredible amounts of damage. So let's jump into some gameplay, since it's always easier to explain. Again, we start with Swift because it does more damage than our other move. We're going to start walking down the lane. We can swift this one as 2, but we can also wait for the next ones. We can swift both of these at the same time, but still always going to be up anyways most of the time unless we have Law of Clear. And we're going to start heading towards this top NDD. We want to fight for every single last hit. If someone goes stacking on the left side, we're going to start as well. Aiming my swift, trying to go for the last hit. But luckily my squirter was actually even faster than I was, and he gets the last hit. Now, if you play with an Espeon as well, this is also for people who have an Espeon as their teammate, try to let them have level 4 as fast as possible. Trying to last it right here. And you can see our clear is already quite fast. Doing to the right side is quite scary because they have Zacian, as you can see right here. It's going to run away for now, and he does a lot of damage. We want to still fight the next NED that spawns in the middle, because it can be in my level 4. And our jungler is also ganking, hopefully there. And I'm going to try to go for this last hit with our Swift as well. And this time we get it. Now the Comfy is there. We're going to slow it with the Growl, and Comfy also goes down, and we're able to score our points. And as soon as you get to level 4, you should be starting to get every single last hit. I'm going to steal this Baltoy as well. You can see my damage are ridiculous. Almost one-shots the Baltoy. That's incredible early game damage. Again, Psyshock probably currently the best level 4 move maybe in the entire game, because it does so much early game. Heading over to farm now, and we try to, again, get every single last hit. This I try to go for the Growl because my Psyshock was down. Then Zacian overextends. Another KO. I'm going to aim my Psyshock a bit into the range, as I said, of where the Comfy is walking. I'm going to check if one of their buffs are up, and now we try to steal every last hit away. The buff's actually up, so I'm going to take this one as well. You can always just, even with Espeon, invade quite easily, because you can see 2 Psyshocks and the buff is already down almost. So I'm going to take this away. Already have Psybeam unlocked, and we're going to head back to bot path and look for the Zacian once more. And make sure that he doesn't get any last hits anymore, really. You can see our early game damage is quite ridiculous now. And yeah, I'm going to check our blue buff to see if someone is invading it, and someone's actually invading it. I'm going to maybe head towards this Dodrio, but can't quite do it. And I'm going to try to maybe capture him going for these Altarias, but he decides not even go for it, so we're just going to do it very fast together. You can see we also just lead Altarias very, very fast with Espeon, and it just does so much damage. Thanks to the Spoon as well, again now, which produces, or which pierces, special defense. Espeon actually does even more damage than maybe it was supposed to do. The Spoon is still doing a lot of work in all these games, especially when it comes to clearing white Pokemon. And now we just want to be aggressive again, but our main goal is still, we don't want to overextend too much because we have no mobility. Our main goal is just stealing everything away. So you can see a ranged Psyshock Psybeam, easy steal, nothing the Zacian can do about it, because 2 moves clear an entire camp quite easily. Again, into boost auto attack as well with the Psybeam. Sadly, the boost auto attack actually went on the wrong target right here, otherwise I would have one-shot as well. The NDD is a bit tankier than the Bunny, and now we go for the Atari as well with our Psyshock. And we're going to just start stealing more away, waiting for my Psybeam right here. Another steal, and now we level 8. It's also why the Pokemon is so strong, because in level 8 it gets your Night Move up, which when the bottom objective spawns, your Night Move is always up. So it's just absolutely ridiculous how much damage we do. I should give more last hits here to our Wartortle. Now that I talked about paying attention to last hitting, I could have maybe had him have Blastoise Evolution already. And now we're going to stay far away. We don't want to walk too deep. I try to follow up onto that stun of a Registeel actually, and I do so much damage. Now I have to Unite Move the enemy Dodrio, and you can already see I was trying to pre-aim my Psyshock to where he was supposed to land. Sadly didn't quite get it, and we just stay at max range still again, looking for the Psyshocks. He's gonna go into my Wartortle for sure, but if Dodrio gets onto me, it's quite scary, right? So I'm still staying back, looking maybe for the last hit right here. The fight is still breaking out, and we're gonna head back towards this bush. I'm gonna try to pre-aim where he's walking, and we just chunk him to half HP instantly as well. Have the eject button away from the drill pack, and looking for another Psyshock, and this time my Wartortle is actually getting it. Looking for a stun onto Comfy. I actually missed my Psyshock barely there. Otherwise, I could have gotten the Comfy. It's still a skill shot and it's easily missable. And that's why Espeon, even though this Pokemon is very strong right now, I don't think it's necessarily overpowered, just because you still have to hit something, right? But this damage is still ridiculous, right? Onto like white Pokemon, being able to just one-shot them in 2 abilities is so easy. I'm going to take a blue buff right here. Let my Wartortle to get this for level 9. So he's finally Blastoise. Again, I actually messed up a bit this game. I was a bit focused on last hitting, that I should have given him more last hits. Trying to hit the Psyshock right here, hitting it onto Zacian. And you also very easily diveable. So enemies have Zacian, Talonflame, right? It's quite easy for them to actually get onto Espeon. So I need to be very careful, especially against Talonflame. Another Psyshock, we get another Altaria. You can see how much experience we get. We're almost level 11 already. Our Psyshock Plus is also already there. Looking for the Dodrio now. And staying away. Dodrio as well is pretty decent, but yeah. At least our passive kind of helps us. Nice Blastoise Knight here. We're going to go for the Zacian again. And he's gone another time. I'm just going to Unite Move the Dodrio. Every time I get Dove out there, the Dodrio will just start Unite Moving him. But the Comfy actually gets me with the basic attack. The Comfy gets me with the basic attack. And this fight has been lasting so long that, yeah, it's been 2 minutes since the Reggie has spawned. but we're at least finally able to get it now. And we're heading back now, we're farming. You will still want to be level 12 as fast as possible as well, because level 12 gives you a very big damage increase. Thanks to Psybeam Plus and Psyshock being able to stun, right? We pretty much can always stun on our own, so our Psybeam build just the additional damage by quite a lot, especially to tankier targets as well. So very important to get to level 12. Another reason why the evolutions are so strong is because they get everything just so fast. I'm going to recall right here, maybe head towards bot path or blue buff. Blue buff as well is very good on Espeon, because current reduction is just insane. I can't really make it to bot in time, so I'm just going to take the blue buff very fast away. But I'm going to still defend right here, because the Dodrio is around. And I don't want him to take too many last hits. Like, it's not good to be 5 on somewhere on the map at the same time, right? So I'm just going to farm right here. The higher level we are, the more damage we do. So if I get level 13, 14, I'm going to be happy. My team didn't need any help for the Regieleki anyways. So I'm just going to farm this entire bot side right now and try to get to level 13, 14 for late game, which just means that hopefully one Psyshock, one Psybeam, and one boosted auto attack will be enough to take down pretty much any target that I want. Also, something I didn't mention, you can also always start with a boosted auto attack because it slows, right? So you can boost auto attack into Psyshock, which makes it maybe easier to hit. The problem is that your boost auto attack obviously doesn't have as much range, so that's why you mostly still start with a Psyshock if you can. But right here in this scenario, I wanted to try with the boost auto attack first. I'm gonna have to Unite Move right here, the Talonflame otherwise gets me, and you can quite difficult, he's quite slippery for an Espeon to deal with. So yeah, boost auto attack into Psyshock, into Psybeam, obviously is also quite great, because that slow helps you to hopefully hit your Psyshock much easier. I kind of want the blue buff again, it's just so strong on my Pokemon. Because, you know, if I have more Psyshocks, more Psybeams, I think everyone's going to be happy. Now we head back towards the next Reggie that's spawning. Just don't want to stay too far away, but we can just start bursting it down. We can look for the last hit. Enemies are still not around either. So we're going to go right here. We hit it. And we are level 13.5 now. Looking for the Talon or the Dodrio. Again, it can be quite difficult, though, those two Pokemon. I'm trying to hit Max Train's Psyshock. I actually hit it because he dashed into it. I was quite lucky. And now we also killed the Comfy instantly again. Looking for a slow first right here, and then I tried to hit my Psyshock, but the guy actually had full heal, so he just runs away. And you can see, even though, you know, we are very OP, hitting your moves is not that easy, especially if the enemies have mobility. So this was actually quite a difficult game. Here I start with the Psybeam first. Make sure there's a Psyshock first. Trying to hit max range as well again. Misses. Looking for another Psyshock as soon as it's back up. Hitting it on the Zacian, or trying to on the Zacian, but he's so fast as well that it's quite difficult to hit it. Now I have to stay back a tiny bit. Two of them are already dead. Looking for the Zacian now. He gets stunned. He gets gunned down. And we are going to hopefully take Rayquaza now. Looking for the Dodrio still. I want to just Unite Move him. He jumps in. We Unite Move him. We take him down. And then we try to go for Rayquaza, of course, which is quite easy since all of them are dead. Here you can see we controlled early game quite fast, right? As soon as we get to level 4, the enemy bot lane pretty much never got any last hits ever again. And then for team fights, we didn't hit big Unite moves this game, but just able to just peel one person off of you is also quite strong already, right? We just were sure we Unite move the Talon or Dodrio diving me, and that still locks them down. So it's also a good counter to those Pokemon that dive into your team. If your team is able to follow up on those, it's quite straightforward. Looking for some more chaos right here. Max Psyshock to Psybeam, the Zacian goes down again. And then we look for another Psyshock, and it has a lot of range, but sadly that was barely out of range. Trying to go for the Dodrio now. And it's just an annoying Pokemon to deal with right now. It just does so much damage. It's quite difficult to deal with. And this game, yeah, was maybe not the best examples, I have to say. But I think it just shows how strong the laning phase of this Pokemon is and how much the enemies just have no chance of doing something eventually. And with 12 KOs, 10 assists, hope you guys enjoyed this guide. And if you did, check out my other ones. And I hope you guys have a nice day.